I was dreaming of old Ireland and Killarney's lakes and dells. I was dreaming of the shamrock and the dear old Shandon bells, when my memory suggested in a vision bright and clear all the strange things that could happen if we had old Ireland here. If the Blarney Stone stood out in Sydney Harbour, and Dublin town to Melbourne came to stay, if the Shannon River joined the Brisbane waters, and Killarney's lakes flowed into Botany Bay, if the Shandon bells rang out in old Fremantle, and County Cork at Adelaide did appear, Aaron's sons would never roam, all the boys would stay at home, if we only had old Ireland over here. There are lots of lovely colleens dancing on the village green. There are lots of Irish buchels, the finest ever seen, where the boys are all called Paddy and the girls called Molly dear. Should we wrap the green flag round them if we had old Ireland here? If the Blarney Stone stood out in Sydney Harbour, and Dublin town to Melbourne came to stay, if the Shannon River joined the Brisbane waters, and Killarney's lakes flowed into Botany Bay, if the Shandon bells rang out in old Fremantle, and County Cork at Adelaide did appear, Aaron's sons would never roam, all the boys would stay at home, if we only had old Ireland over here. Thank you.
Thank you all very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen, for attending here this morning. I hope you enjoyed the breakfast. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Tom Murray, who sponsored the breakfast here this morning. Big hand for Tom Murray. I'd like to thank Dino Cregan, who sponsored some of the awards that we're giving out here this morning. Big hand for Dino Cregan. I'd also wish to thank Dan O'Connor, who sponsored the main award here this morning. Dan is with us. Big hand for Dan. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come together here of a morning for our breakfast, we acknowledge and we appreciate the work a couple of people have done for Cork boxing, and the clubs, the county boards, or throughout the entire boxing world, irrespective of what part they play. Over the last 10 or 11 years, we have acknowledged many, many people, many of whom have gone to their eternal reward, but they did so in the knowledge that they were acknowledged and recognised by you, their peers, and fellow members of the Cork Boxing Society, fraternity, associations, county boards, and ex-boxers. It's magnificent to think that we can achieve that and do this on a dirty grey January morning like this morning. That we can bring a ray of sunshine into our own lives and the lives of others as we live out there in a hard and difficult world. But our focus is on sport. It's magnificent to think that we have here this morning a collection of people who represent the Buckleys from Mallow, who were there for many, many years, played a major part, the Glen Boxing Club, Cork Ex-Boxers Association, Ryland and Musgrave Boxing Clubs, county boards. As I look around, we have a man here who will be joining us in the City Hall for our concert on the 23rd of March next. Finbar Lane. Finbar, you're very welcome here this morning. Big hand for Finbar Lane.
Dennis.
Likes of Fergal Dennehy is here this morning. Fergal is a man who has represented the county board and Cork on many occasions. I welcome him. I welcome Will Rosser, who has done an outstanding job coaches from the academies, the likes of Shawnee Barrett and Arnie McLaughlin. I welcome the Cantor Club for what they do. Have done. Katrina Toomey and what she has been doing outstandingly well, not only in Ireland but in the Ukraine, and she's on the headlines morning, noon, night. And when I think of Katrina Toomey, the one thing I also think of is the deadheads down in Cork City Council who cannot see or cannot acknowledge the work she has done. And when I look at the last number of Lord Mayors that we've had in this city, I wonder to myself, is it any wonder that they haven't yet acknowledged Katrina Toomey? They will tell you they have given her other awards, and they have. But the award that Katrina Toomey deserves and is waiting for and must receive is the freedom of the city for Katrina Toomey. And we won't stop, and I won't stop until she gets that. Ladies and gentlemen, the first of our awards here this morning is going to be presented by Zaur, and I'm going to give references on the 4 people that were making the presentation this morning. The first presentation is to Arnie McLaughlin, who has done outstanding work with a number of clubs, Knockman, to Toker, to Spartan, with the academies, with the dancing outfits that we had from time to time when we had the Strictly Come Dancing Awards and various other things down through the years. She's been an outstanding ambassador, and it says here to Arnie McLaughlin in appreciation of the many events you organised and promoted at both club and county board levels to advance and develop the sport of amateur boxing on Leeside. Arnie McLaughlin, ladies and gentlemen.
Congratulations. Good morning.
Be all right? The next award, ladies and gentlemen, is going to a man who was involved at the beginning with the Toker Boxing Club, is involved as a city councillor for many years, a man who could and should be and will be the Lord Mayor of Cork, has been an outstanding ambassador for Cork boxing, has opened doors for me in City Hall when others closed them, has given me information at vital times that I used against City Hall when I needed to get things done. A man who has been a great ally to Cork boxing and a friend. And I'm not sharing anything out of context because we keep everything quiet in amongst ourselves in here this morning. But ladies and gentlemen, if there was ever a man deserved an award, it's Fergal Denny, and I am delighted to make sure that he gets this award for it. Thank you. And it says to Fergal Denny, in recognition of your many years of outstanding work and dedication as an administrator to promote and develop amateur boxing on Leeside. Well done, Fergal. Thanks, Fergal. Well done.
You'll be next, Katrina.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring your attention now to our next awardee this morning. And it's like Dublin and Cork. For years we had a situation when everything didn't matter beyond the pale. Cork never mattered to Dublin. But Cork matters today to Dublin, and in a big way. We spoke about it there earlier, myself and a couple of my colleagues, but that's a different day's work. But it's also important for those people in the city of Cork and in the county board to acknowledge people that are working out in the county and in the clubs. And we have done that, and we will continue to do that in the county board. And I'm still vice president of the Cork County Board, even though I have stepped aside as president for now. And the thing about it is that it's important to acknowledge and to recognise people like our next awardee, who's outside in the club in Ballinspittle on the way to Crosshaven. And I remember he came up to myself and John Wiseman when he wanted to start the club one time about 6 or 7 years ago, up to the headquarters then in Churchfield. And we gave him a good grilling on the night, and we laid it on the line for him. And he wasn't going to do this, and he wasn't going to do that. And he walked out that door. He was disciplined, he was marshalled, he was focused. But he did an outstanding job, and he has raised that club over in the United States recently to a very high level. I am delighted this morning to make this award through Zaur to Will Russell of the Corsi Boxing Club. And this award is made in recognition of your commitment and dedication to promote and advance amateur boxing to the highest standard amongst the male and female young athletes to the ultimate benefit of all within the sport of boxing and for your club. Will Russell. Well done, Will. Ladies and gentlemen, our final awardee here this morning in this category goes to a young lady who has been a tremendous ambassador for the sport of boxing, has been an outstanding boxer, has come very close to winning gold, silver and bronze European Championship medals. COVID-19 upset the stride a small bit and changed a lot of things where the international championships were concerned. But still she is a history maker in that she is the only body in the history of Cork boxing, and that's 107 years, to win 3 European Championship medals. It's a magnificent achievement for a young boxer and her club. And her club is under Jim below in Cork. They've worked with her over the years with her sister, and they've produced great success. And Vance has been a member of that club and has been tremendously assistful in her capacity as a female coach, Vance O'Connell. And that success is going to be shared by the club. Her success today is going to be shared by the club. The presentation goes to Katie O'Keefe of Kanturk, BC, in acknowledgement of your history-making achievement in winning an illustrious 3 European Championship medals, enhancing your proud record as a multiple All-Ireland winner also. Ladies and gentlemen, Katie O'Keefe, Kanturk. Well done, Katie. I'd like to thank each and every one of you here this morning for showing your great enthusiasm to our awardees. They've put long hours into what they have achieved, and it's great to see them acknowledged here this morning and to see your reciprocation of that acknowledgement through your very warm clapping. It's very easy to come in here and sit down and have a breakfast and yawn and wait. But like, you're in here for a reason. You're in here to acknowledge and appreciate and clap as loud as you can for the awardees, because that's very, very important. I've seen and I've attended dinners where fellas have gone to these dinners and people are getting these awards and they're just standing and they're waiting and they're in zombie land. We don't invite people to zombie land. We invite people who must be enthusiastic, who must take a pride in their sport, who must enjoy the culture and the history of the sport, and most of all, must acknowledge the contribution that the awardee has put in to get that plaque, to get that award. Hours, days, months and years have been put in, and they get a moment, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, and the group of people that are there to give them that enthusiasm and to give them that acknowledgement are you people. So you've been fantastic this morning. Our main event this morning is to honour a man who came to this country 20 years ago. In 2003, the Special Olympics were on in this country, and it brought people from all over the world. And Dan and Moira were very involved in that movement and played a leading role. And it was a magnificent success. And I remember seeing a headline, one of the patrons of that Special Olympics in Croke Park, when they filled the stadium, was the greatest. The greatest was coming to Croke Park. And when everybody talk about the greatest was Muhammad Ali. And he came in 2003. And in 2003, another man came, quietly and calmly, in the back door into this country, from Georgia. And he came amongst us, almost like Jesus did 2,000 years ago. Humble, a very humble man. And he did little talking because he had little English. But that English developed as the years went on. And so did his ability as a coach. Because Dan O'Connell outside in Georgia had spotted him. Dan saw his ability, he saw his capability, he saw the technique he was using, and he made a suggestion. thinking to bring him to Cork boxing first, but to bring him to the IABA. And that man went on to become the greatest, replacing Muhammad Ali, who was there then. This man amongst us this morning is the greatest coach Ireland has ever produced in terms of the success rate we had at underage level, at under 22 level, at a senior elite level. The amount of medals that came into this country. We've seen it only recently when our team in the European Championships of ladies, 10 boxers brought back 7 medals. They won the European Championship as a consequence of it because they were the top in this country. Top in this country. And Zaur was shortlisted for Manager of the Year by RTE. And they gave it to a woman after who absolutely achieved nothing. All she had at the end of the day was a ticket to qualify for a competition next year. And that's what RTE saw. But we saw otherwise in Cork, and we attacked RTE through Derry McCarthy. And we called them to boot, and we wrote to him. And at the moment, there's an ongoing investigation into RTE as to who their selection committee was, and they have to make it available to us, either under the Freedom of Information Act or through a question in the Dáil to the Minister for Communications. So we're not going to let it stand. But we in Cork got a great opportunity to do something about it. We are honouring Zaur Antia, long before the guys in Dublin even thought about it in the IABA, because we have seen that it started in Cork through Dan with Zaur. And for Zaur to go abroad with our teams and wear the green, in the Olympics with Katie Taylor, at the Olympics with Kelly Harrington, when we won World Championships gold, when we won at world level, at European level. This is magnificent. And to see, if you were watching it on television, to see your boxer there getting out of the green, or getting out of the ring and the hand raised, and to look up at the national anthem and to see the flag flying, butterflies on the back of your neck, butterflies. And more than any other sport, the Irish flag and our Vein has been played because of this man here this morning. So we're going to get a loud message out from here this morning to everybody all over the country that the greatest is back amongst us again. Ladies and gentlemen, Zaur Antia.
Mick O'Brien, as he usually does, covers most things, but I have it written down, so I'll have to stick to the script. And if I'm repeating, that's the way it is. I first met Zaur back in the year 2000 in a small town called Potty in Georgia. It was a town that was still attempting to establish itself after the independence from the Soviet system. My abiding memory is what the people lacked in facilities, industry, funding, and employment at that time. They more than made up for with their warmth, hospitality, and friendly nature. I mention this because having been on the receiving end whilst there, every night I was invited to a different home to share a meal with a host family. There were no restaurants or pubs on the agenda for that week, but I have to admit there were copious amounts of white wine, which is a Georgian tradition when you visited a home. It was their way of saying, thank you for coming. You are welcome, and it's our pleasure to share with you. This was especially generous and thoughtful, as overall things were not good in Potty at that time, and I left wanting to help in some way. It is not well known, but the original plan was to bring Zaur here to Cork. Months of preparation had gone into exploring the possibility of sourcing accommodation and employment for him here. Individual clubs were approached, and the idea of a collective scheme for Cork was also mooted. It was a work in progress at the time for Cork boxing. But of course, at that time, we were not talking about the boxing genius and the world's best technical and tactical coach that we now know Zaur to be. It was a case of, I know this guy from Georgia, he seems to be a good coach, is there any chance we could bring him to Cork? This was Cork's forward planning, pre-high performance. But times were simpler then. For us, it was a case of, look,
The man has a young family. He's prepared to come to Cork for a year, for 2 years if necessary. He wants to work and he's prepared, and he is in a position and be in a position to support his family back home. Then in 2003, news reached us that the High Performance Unit was being set up in Dublin. We felt that we had the right man for the job. The rest is history. Cork's loss was Ireland's gain. I often wondered what the outcome might have been had we succeeded in retaining Zaur in Cork. When Zaur did eventually physically arrive in Cork, I want to return to him the hospitality I experienced and demonstrate the friendliness of the people of Cork and Ireland. This, of course, was also saying, look, Zaur, you could have a good life here. Our people are friendly and welcoming and prepared to share with you, not unlike the Georgian people. So Zaur's experience in Cork as he prepared for his interview and assessment for the High Performance Unit was as much as we could muster here in Cork, reflecting our experience in Potty. How appropriate it is now that he is back in Cork today, on this, the 20th anniversary of his first visit to the real capital. Today, we honour him for all of the success he has brought to Ireland. Zaur and Zurab, his friend and interpreter on the visit, stayed with Myra and I at our home. We sent word out to our friends, including my outlaws, one of whom is here with us today, I'm glad to say, that we had 2 Georgian guys with us for a couple of weeks, and the plan was to entertain them with dinner, chat and crack at different houses during their stay. Of course, Myra and I will be accompanying them, so if you can arrange for dinner for your family, plus the 4 of us, that would be great. That was the calling card at the time. Anyway, believe it or not, the response was great. And I have no doubt that Zaur has many good memories of Cork and the hospitality of its people. I believe his Cork experience influenced his decision to return and stay in Ireland in the first instance, and to remain loyal to Irish boxing despite the many well-published disturbances in the IABA over the last 20 years. Cases in mind would be the Gary Keegan, the Billy Walsh, and latterly the Bernard Dunn saga. And in addition to that, the many lucrative offers that Zaur has received from around the globe. He is the most sought-after coach in amateur boxing in the world today, and there has been lots of lucrative offers. But what remains constant here in Ireland is 1, Zaur Antia, and 2, Irish boxing success, with Ireland continuing to medal at every major championship, including European, World and Olympic Games. Zaur, my friend, you have come a long way from your most used word, when your most used word of English was again. I don't know if you remember this, but it's always what you said when you wanted to watch the film Gladiator for the second and sometimes the third time on the same day, and that happened every day. Again. Yeah. And nice cream. And nice cream. Never ice cream, but I mean nice cream from Myra to keep him going through the movie. And always under the pretense that you were learning English. When I said, why are you watching again? I want to learn English. Again. Anyway. But now I know that the many messages in the movie, the brave, the underdog, the battle, the will to win, and the message, above all, prepare to win, that grabbed your attention above all else, and the principle that you have remained true to this day as you prepare our boxers to win and continue their winning ways as they approach Olympic Games and Paris next year. My friend, bro, as we like to address each other, you make me in Cork boxing so proud. From humble beginnings here 20 years ago, with very few words of English, and the few words you did have were all spoken with a Cork accent. You presented yourself to our headquarters in Dublin, demonstrated your skills and knowledge of boxing, and there laid the foundation for the glorious road that Irish boxers have travelled for the past 20 years and continue to travel today under your guidance and expertise. I know this pride extends to the Cork Boxing family, the Cork County Boxing Board, Cork Boxing Fraternity, and of course the Cork Ex-Boxers Association, all of whom are represented here today to honour you. In conclusion, fans, take note, I would like to say that we do not expect any preferential treatment, but we do know that you will welcome with open heart any young boxers presenting to the high performance unit with that now recognisable Cork accent as you have in the past, and long may it continue. On a personal note, I wish to say congratulations. I wish to congratulate you on your award today. It is well deserved, and I take pride in my small role that helped discover a humble, hard-working boxing genius that Cork and Ireland continue to benefit from and will hopefully continue to do so for many years ahead. Got a míle maith agaibh go léir.
As we come to the moment of presentation now, where the presentation is being made to Zaur on behalf of everybody in Cork Boxing. And normally people might think in this instance or context there has to be a guy with a pair of boxing gloves or a statuette or anything like that. No, this award is the supreme award. It has to be something, I suppose, abstract. It has to show symbolically the leadership of an individual. And in this award that we have here this morning, we show for everybody a stranger coming into our midst, whom we don't know or we can't recognise. And yet he is pointing the way forward. And that way forward is success. And that's exactly the way Zaur came in to this country, as a man unknown. And beneath here is a feet of clay and gravel and ground that's unsmooth. Today Irish boxing is very smooth. Today Irish boxing is very successful. And today that individual who's showing leadership then is amongst us today. And each and every one of us, particularly after what Dan has just outlined now, knows exactly who we are and what this award represents here this morning. And what it says is this, and it's important to understand that the Cork Boxing Fraternity, that's all groups and associations from County Board to Ex-Boxers, Friend of Cork Boxing, wish to acknowledge and congratulate Zaur Antia as the most successful international coach this country has ever produced. And that is unquestionably facts. Nobody in any other part of the country can mention any other name. They can mention a couple, but when you match up exactly fight for fight, contest for contest, championship for championship, there is nobody comes next nor near Zaur Antia. And it's a pity that the guys above in the IABA can't see that yet. Hopefully Cork has shown a lot of leadership to these guys over the last couple of years, and they've followed us in a lot of things. And hopefully they will now wake up. There's a situation in Dublin tonight where they're honouring former presidents. And there's one guy there, he's only a president a couple of months, and he's awarding himself tonight. And yet, this man who has produced everything for years couldn't be found. That tells me a very, very serious story about people that need to look inwardly, outwardly, and forwardly. And that's the type of thing that we need in Irish boxing. There's people who take a step back and acknowledge other people for what they have achieved. But in Cork, nobody can stop us, because we are brand leaders, we are market leaders, we make our own history, we make our own space, we make our own success, and we keep going. We have the unpunchable voice in Cork, and nobody will dull that, and long may that continue. This morning, I am delighted now to call on Dan to make this presentation to Zaur, and I know each and every one of you will stand and clap as loud as you can. Ladies and gentlemen, Zaur Antia.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I want to say Happy New Year to all of you. Still fresh New Year, just start now, January. And thank you very much to all of you, Mick, Dan, Tommy, and all of you. Thank you for this honor, this attention, and I will never forget my faculties, and my career started in Ireland from the Cork, and we love Cork and we love Cork people. In Georgia, small town where I'm from, when Dan arrived there, they start our friendship at that time. In Georgia, the guest in Georgia like equal to God. That's our tradition. We have this. And when I came to Cork the first time, and Daniel hosted us and then brought to France 5, 6 places, different places. And we saw, me and my friend, that, the heart of hospitality, true heart, and we find out, we see the country's soul. I think good people makes, assessment of countries. You have to assess country from the good people. And I really recognize how good country is Ireland. They helped me very much. They a little bit struggled with me with about language. I challenged Maura very much in computers. I made 10 or 15 plans and change again. That's how I'm working today. Always better ideas comes every time. Then I have to stop. This is best, and then only I can continue work. But ideas all the time comes, What I want to say is, when I came here from 2003 and I start work with good people, Billy Walsh there, Gary Keegan, very nice team was there, good team of coaches. We start work. Work was very good. Work was very innovative, and that experience as well helped us to bring Irish boxers with the best nations in the world, and boxing start improving. That time boxing was not that level, but sorry. Then later everything happened very well. When you're working very well and you have something vision. You have purpose, plan can be involved, is no problem. And that's what we are so happy that we have many, many Olympic medals now. We have world champions, especially this 2022 was a fantastic year. I won't say, this life is like this, You always have to be challengeful. You have to love challenge. Sometimes we think, what, the last experience no works. Even 2022 was successful. I can't follow that path. We have to create new, because always, if you stay one place, you will not go forward. But what I want to say, I had the opportunity to meet this gentleman, Daniel O'Connell, and my family is here. Everybody is happy. My boys grow here. They become, and girls, daughter my as well, very successful are in their lives. I have 4 grandchildren, 3 born here in Ireland. They are Irish now. And I really love Ireland, And I have good plans to continue success. And I'm very confident about this, because I'm not afraid of the challenge, and not afraid to invent something new, what was not before. And I was working with Katie Taylor. You know how great, a nice person she is. Then Kelly Harrington, and then Aoife O'Rourke, and then Lisa, and everybody, Amy Brothers, all world champions and Olympic champions. And all I want to say now, a little bit nervous, it's normal, I want again promise you not not stop success, to make Cork proud and all Ireland. I will continue my hard work. And again, thank you very much for your support. Thank you. And thank you. Thank you. Okay? You okay?
Yeah, there's a request here for the Jack Doyle song written by Jimmy McCarthy called The Contender. When I was young and I was in my day, should I steal what woman's heart there was away? Sing and dance into the morning, blaze away until the dawning, long before I was the man you see today. I was born beneath the star that promised all. I could have lived my life between Cork Cove and Youghal, but the wheel of fortune took me from the highest point. She shook me. By the bottle lives, by the bottle I shall fall. There in a mirror on the wall, I see the dream is fading. From the contender to the brawl, the ring, the rose, the matador is raving. And when I die, I'll die a drunk down on the street. He will count me out to 10 and clear the feet. Wrap the starry plough around me, with the piper's air resound me. There I'll rest until the Lord of love I'll meet. There in a mirror on the wall, come on. I see the dream is fading. From the contender to the brawl, come on, Siddle. The ring, the rose, the matador is raving. And when I die, I'll die a drunk down on the street. He will count me out to 10 and clear the feet. Wrap the starry plough around me, with the piper's air resound me. There I'll rest until the Lord of love I'll meet. There I'll rest until the Lord of love I'll meet. Shinawil, thank you. Thank you. That's his